Welcome again to the Clinical Cookout. I'm here, Auntie Sug, and I'm here to bring you the psychoeducation. Now, since we're at a cookout, I'm bringing you all the beef, but I'm gonna make it puree so that everybody can eat. Let's go. All right, so let's get into addiction. So, the reason why I chose to talk about addiction is because it's a subject that is near and dear to my heart. A little bit of education about me is I'm a child of addiction. I was greatly affected. I did not understand just how big the effects was until I got older and I started in my education program and it started teaching me about addiction, and then I got my internship at an addiction center, and things really went far for me then. So addiction is your body and your mind telling you that you need something over and over again. And as you need that thing over and over again, sometimes with drug and alcohol abuse and gambling addiction, because there are multiple kinds of addictions, you can get overloaded to where your body only craves that thing. So what happens is, and I'm going to break it down so that it's palatable for everybody, in your brain, you have pleasure centers. Your pleasure centers are stimulating by things like eating, drinking, sex, anything that your body likes. So, for example, when it's time for you to eat, you'll say, "Oh, you know what? I want some ribs today." So you'll eat ribs, and then your body will say, "We like that. We like that. Let's keep eating. Let's keep drinking. Let's keep doing that thing." And so what happens is when you start using drugs, alcohol, or gambling, or whatever the addiction is, your body starts to like it a lot. And then your brain says, "We need more of that." And then so you do more of it. And then your brain says, "Okay, come on, give me more of that." And over time, your mind starts to think, that's all we need. We don't really need anything else. And so then your mind starts to crave the drug or the alcohol or the gambling. And every time you do it, your pleasure centers are stimulated. And so more and more your body craves that. Now, over time, what happens in your body is your brain is overstimulated and then it's constantly on stimulation mode. And so when it's constantly on stimulation mode, even that drug or whatever your addiction is that you take stops stimulating as much as it should. And so then you have to take increased amounts. You have to take more, which is why you see people who want to get high, or they might say that they're chasing a high. And so after a while, your brain keeps chasing that high and you keep needing increased dosage. And then that's how we get to overdose. And overdose is when you take too much, you overload your system, and then you die. Addiction affects everybody. The addict who's directly involved in the addiction may not know that they're affecting everybody. So when you are in addiction, you may have a spouse. You actively using drugs can directly affect your spouse because over time, you're not there for that spouse. Over time, your spouse may get tired of having to be there have to be there to hold the family together, and now it might trickle down to the kids because stress negatively affects people, right? And so people think that kids don't feel addiction. They think that you don't know what's going on. They think that oh, my kids are fine. They're better off without me while I'm sick. My kids don't need me, and that's not true. So kids always need their parents, no matter what. And so when you are in addiction, the kids feel a void because a lot of times the addict doesn't want to come around because they feel embarrassed. They don't want to come around because they just feel like people are going to be judging them. And they don't want to come around because they honestly want to get high. And so when they want to get high, the kids feel it. When they are actively walking around the streets, the kids hear it. I can remember a time where I heard about addiction. And, I heard that my parent was on drugs, and I remember being embarrassed, feeling sad, feeling depressed, feeling anxious. If I seen that parent, then I just felt like, why don't you love me? And so a lot of times the kids feel like, I'm not loved. This person is craving addiction more than they crave me. They can't be there for me because they're so in love with the drug, and none of it is true, but that's the perception of everybody. And then let's talk about the parents of addicts. Parents of addicts feel like failures because they feel like, what did I do to, deserve this, to deserve the behavior? What did I do to deserve this person stealing from me, this person lying to me? And what did I do to make my child turn to drugs? And the answer is nothing, but you don't feel that when you're in that. And so the addict really affects everybody. Everybody who loves this person is affected. All right. So let's talk about the misconceptions of addiction. You get a lot of family members that think that this person just does not love them. So I want to let you know that that's not true. It has nothing to do with love. So what happens is that addiction is on a spectrum. So you have the lower end of the spectrum, right? Where the person is just a little bit addicted, they might be able to stop. They might be addicted to some weed. They might be addicted to a little bit of alcohol, but they can stop. Over time, what happens is they keep on giving that body that nutrition, right? You keep on eating too much, you're going to gain weight. You keep on using too much, you're going to get sick. Your body is going to trick your brain. And so what happens with that is they think that, oh, this person doesn't love me. It actually has nothing to do with love. It's more so about the drug. Your brain loves what it needs. And so if you've tricked your brain to think that, oh, I need this drug, then you're going to love and you're going to need what you need. Like when your body needs sleep, you're going to go to sleep. Your body needs that drug, you're going to get that drug. The only way to break free from that is to change the way you think about it. And that's not an easy task either. Another misconception is that it's a choice. Addiction is a choice the first time. So the very first time you take that drug, the very first time somebody takes methamphetamines, that was a choice. But once their brain got overloaded with all those chemicals and their brain was overloaded on dopamine, which is the thing that makes you very happy and makes you think that, oh, I need this, I can keep on using this. The first time the choice was made, after that, it's no longer a choice because your brain has been automatically programmed to go ahead and crave that drug. You can think of it like you're driving a plane, you're flying a plane, and somebody comes in the room and they hijack the plane. And now you're sitting in the passenger seat of the cockpit and they're flying the plane. So they've completely taken over and all you can do is watch. So the same way addicts' families are watching them crash and burn is the same way an addict is watching their own lives crash and burn with limited ability to stop it. Another misconception is that people won't get better until they want to. And you know what? A lot of that is true. A lot of that is true. You can keep on saying until the cows come home, you need to go get off them drugs, you need to go get off them drugs. But that person has to have the will, the want to, and the education to go get off the drugs. Now, it's more than will because you also need programs. There's programs AA, NA, there's intensive outpatient programs, and there's inpatient programs. So if somebody is telling you not to eat and you know you're hungry, you're going to go and crave the food. But if somebody takes you to somewhere where they're going to give you food in the doses that you need it, then you're going to be taught how to manage your food intake. That's the same way an addict has to be taught. They have to be taken to an inpatient treatment center, and it takes at least, and this depends on how much you've been using, at least 30 days to get free and get clear of the drug. After that, then the education comes where that person can learn about the drug, they can learn about their brain, and they can learn about the stress factors that cause it. Now let's talk about the stress factors. In minority communities, we have high levels of stress. In the Native American population, there is a high level of addiction. In the African American population, the whole 90s was an addiction era, affecting all, and the 80s, affecting all of the babies born after that. And so the only way to get off of the drugs and to really take care of our communities is to get into your education and to go to those inpatient facilities, to go to intensive outpatient facilities, and to support that person because a lot of the facilities are based around stigmas. Take a small minority community, and I'll use my place, Niagara Falls. In Niagara Falls, most people know most people. I'm living in Shreveport. Most people know most people. So when you decide to go and get that help, a lot of people know that you're in there. And then so you're embarrassed because you don't want all those people to know, oh, I was in inpatient treatment. And so a lot of people don't seek the treatment, or you don't want them to know your cousin, father, uncle, brother was in there. And so they don't seek the treatment. So the biggest way to get somebody free of drugs is to be their support system. No, you don't have to let them steal from you. No, you don't have to let them harm you. Yes, you can draw very strict boundaries, but in those boundaries being drawn, it's important for them to know that you are there for them and that you'll help them out in whatever they may need. All right, let's talk about some rehabilitation programs. So most people know what AA is. That's Alcoholics Anonymous. And you're going to go to AA if you have any addiction to ethanol or alcohol. Narcotics Anonymous, also known as NA, is if you are addicted to any narcotic, which is any kind of sedative. Right now, narcotics, the biggest narcotic is fentanyl, pills, crack cocaine, just regular cocaine, anything that's like that is a narcotic. They also have programs for the families. Al-Anon, which is Alcoholics Anonymous, but it's for the families, is a program where families can go and learn about the addiction that their loved one is in. And they can learn about the way people act when they're in addiction. They can learn about what people crave, why they crave it. All the psychoeducation given today is all the things that you can learn in Al-Anon or Nar-Anon, which is Narcotics Anonymous for the families. There are also IOP. That's intensive outpatient programs. That's where you go to a group therapy program where you learn how to cope with your addiction. You may get a sponsor. You may learn how other addicts are coping with their addiction. And it's a therapy group. So you're talking about the reasons why you're addicted and kind of going into your addiction. You can find all these programs in churches, community health centers. Even if you go on a cruise, you can find these programs on a cruise. So I would say the mental health community leaves limited potential for you to use, even when you're trying to have fun. One thing you can always say, people always question why others don't drink. You can always say, no thanks, I had enough. People will never question you having enough, but they'll always question you not drinking or not using. So that's always a way for you to get out. All right, my goal is always to make sure that you guys have a good takeaway and that you learn. So that's all I have. Auntie Sug signing out.
Stripe. Soundstripe.